Happy morning once again. It's a great afternoon and wonderful evening. When we are dealing with, Patriji just talked about a dialect method to grow ourselves, always having a question, not always wanting to talk, question to learn, and then everybody learns in the process. There are four types of, we can broadly categorize everybody into these four. And then as we are transforming more and more, we could look at how we could spend our time in the presence of them. Some may be spiritually rich, some are spiritually poor. Some are materially rich, some are materially poor. Of course, there is a combination of this is always possible. So, materially poor person, whatever help we can do, we give. Whatever we can do within our capability, whatever material help that we can do, we must do to them when they ask for help. Materially rich, when we encounter, we make friendships with them. We make friendships with those who are materially rich. They're not bad. Rich people are not bad, or people with power are not bad. We have this notion. There is a lot of times we have this based on what we read here and there. We just come to the generalization because the falling into the generalization trap is something that every meditator will avoid as we go forward. We have to go away from this generalization trap. What is read in news, the news may be only pointing to one small thing, but then we get generalized. We refuse to conclude based on what we see or what we read in the papers or see in a maybe one particular event, incident. So we make friendships with materially rich people. Spiritually poor, when we recognize that somebody does not know anapanasati, when you recognize that somebody's only thing they're doing is complaining, judging, within your assessment, recognizing, then, or if somebody is coming to us, spiritually poor, they're coming to us, they're constantly asking for help, and spiritually poor, then we give them everything that we know. We don't try to give them money there. We don't try to give physical things. Instead, we give everything that we know about this liberating knowledge, meditation, and then the knowledge, so that they get liberated. They get free of it. Otherwise, they keep coming back to us. So, spiritually poor, the first thing we do the moment we know that we know something more, we must give away that knowledge that we have. All of that. Selflessly, give as much. And spiritually rich, when we find somebody's got more, then we become instant students to learn. We keep quiet and then see, ask the questions. That is a way. Ask the questions, keep quiet is a way to learn more from them because they have so much knowledge. They're rich. If you understand, then we give the time. We have 3 minutes of time with them because oftentimes we go to a conference. At the end of the conference, we get to meet an author, for example. I'm talking about even any knowledge. You get to meet an author, or you get to meet a musician. The only thing we do is just open and talk and talk and talk what we know rather than trying to take from them. How did you become such a great musician? Can you tell us what kind of practice you do? If you want to learn from them, then listen to their experience before we feel and just talk about what I know. Fine, acknowledge and say, hey, you've been great, fantastic music you produce. I love it. My family loves it. It's fine. That much is fine. Thanking them. But then afterwards, we have to completely open our ears and then listen to them, asking questions. If not ask questions, at least keep quiet so that then they have something to say. Karthikeyan's life history is full of stories of so much of wisdom. If we spend time, if we get an opportunity to have Sir, and then if we just wanted to talk about what I know about this politics or that thing, because Sir is also giving opinions on the government, if the only thing we do is to just keep on opening and then what we talk about an issue, then he will just quietly listen in. 3, 4 minutes later, he will say, thank you. He'll move on. What can we do? In the world, it's reversed. People who are knowledgeable are spiritual rich, what's material rich, we surrender, we just completely listen into whatever that is. To material rich. And spiritual rich, no, material rich, if they say something, we do it. When you surrender to a teacher or the master who is basically what? Somebody has more knowledge, that's all. Nothing more. Surrender is not to the physicality, surrender to the knowledge. Then we can at least get as good as them. By following what they've done, we can get at least as good as them. If we go and then tell a teacher that while they are telling us some way to learn, and we tell them in return that this is what I think we should do, great. Then you can as well be your own guru independently. But if you've gone to a teacher, then we are completely, if you've gone to a master, we completely are surrounded to the process and then listening and then learn as much. The idea is that we get as good as we can get as become as good as them. If we go to Sachin Tendulkar is running an academy, then we listen to Tendulkar. We might have something, we may feel that I've got something better, but we listen to this master and then practice cricket the way that he's telling so that we can get as good as him. And then better is always there, but at least we get as good as him. A lot of times we have these opinions. Then in the process, I miss out. When you go to people, if you're going there and then listening in, listen as good as, then at least get as good. And then, of course, things that you don't like, you can take them off because in spirituality, there is nothing called fixed path. Everybody has their own path. So the lending, we got to lend our ear completely, listening ear. We have to become zero of what we already know and then surrender to this spiritual rich so that we can get as much. It's like that honeybee going and then taking. And we have to learn from everybody that is there. There's no fixed one master. A teacher can have any number of students, and a student can have any number of teachers. Now, teacher student is only for learning, it's not for physically surrendering and then we have to treat like God. All that is not there. Everybody at the end of the day is co travelers. One knows more, one knows less. That's all. So, spiritually rich, surrender to the process of knowledge. Take as much, as much, as much. Ask as many questions so that we can get it. The dialect method. Ask as many questions so we can take it all. Material rich, make friendships. They're good. You make friendships. Friendship is about understanding them no matter what they are, then giving that, accept them as it is where they are, and then make friendships. Who knows? In the law of manifestation, everything comes in, everything comes. So they might bring an opportunity for us. We don't have to shun away just because I'm not that, then we oftentimes, okay, let's stay away from them because they'll exploit or they do this, or it's not for me. No, when you are making friendships, you are in the company of them, then obviously we learn something. But you don't make, just because somebody is material rich doesn't mean that the life knowledge is known to them. That is spiritual rich, meditation rich. We have already understood the holistic. If material rich, somebody is already, of course, they are very spiritual, no doubt, great. Then that's the first principle apply there. Spiritually poor is our responsibility to give it all. It's a responsibility to give. The moment we identify somebody is poor, spiritually don't have much, it's a responsibility to give it all. If they come home, give them a good meal is required, and then talk about that. Not talk about anything else because then we know about it, then talk about that. Not about property, not about traffics or politics. Once we know about this, once we recognize that we have this higher knowledge, we completely move it because that's our responsibility. Of course, meditation is constantly helping us to be aware when you are in the company of people, in recognizing and then fulfilling our dharma appropriately. So we're all learning. I mean, this simple technique of observing the breath is not known to many, many people. And without even knowing about any other topic, just telling somebody that you just sit down, observe the breath, and it's going to do wonders. Because we heard so many experiences now by now. So we shouldn't be having any doubt about how this meditation helps. We may not have experienced fully yet, but how meditation helps. So that becomes our responsibility when we are interacting, or the way of living, when we interact with people who we feel are spiritually poor. And then we give it all away. So let's go back into this meditation once again, which is making us aware, constantly reminding us of our dharma responsibilities. It is so important when we are meeting, for example, a grandmaster like Patriji, or any grandmaster that we come across. We have to keep our mind empty, and there is limited time. So we ask a question, or we stay quiet so that then they can initiate. They may not cut you. If you are talking about something, they'll just quietly listen in as a mute spectator. So it is so important. And it is not necessary a lot of times because we meet somebody. we feel like we have to talk. No, it's not necessary at all, especially if I'm in front of a quantum physicist. I don't need to show what I know about quantum physics because they know it. I don't need to talk about how much I know. Why do we need to impress somebody? We don't need to impress. We're constantly trying to impress somebody else and start talking what I know. It is not necessary. Just by keeping quiet, we don't become any lower. That's because that's lower or higher is only in our mind. Instead, if we have a question, we ask, otherwise we stay quiet. We staying quiet doesn't mean that the other person is assessing, judging. If somebody is judging, there's not even a spiritual teacher. Forget it. So we stay quiet rather than just try to impress or trying to just add value, just say something. And a lot of times, when you're with a spiritually rich, anyone, the knowledge rich, recognize knowledge rich, then we stay quiet until the time they ask us to say something. We don't have to add a point just like they're coming in between just because we know it. We only add when there is a value extra. We don't repeat what they've said. It's not necessary. And then when we are in the company of masters, then we wait. It's not that they don't know. When they're talking about a point, they have to add, they'll ask you to add a point and then they'll add it. Always opportunity will come. That's the way we maximize. The reason I'm saying is maximize the knowledge we receive from these masters, dear friends. Relax yourself, sit comfortably. Let's go into a meditation once again. That's great. As we transcend time and space in meditation, time is our past predominantly. If 80% of our past, we're transcending that. And space is our environment and ourselves. We're transcending that. So we have to slow down because there's nothing to relate to. We have to slow down in that space where there's no time and space. It's always great to meditate together, dear friends. So as we're relaxing in, we learn from, of course, the meditation, all that, what I may be teaching, but I think we learn from all the several senior people who learned it all from the leaders and whoever they were listening in. That's wonderful. I'm so glad that meditation is helping in many ways. It's 100%, we have to get better. And the more with more meditation, we'll get better 100%. Thank you so much. Please do join back at 6 a.m. again. And as always, we'll have some more interaction till 8 o'clock. Thank you.